My name is Kia Jones, and I am going to be explaining my media theory presentation. Alrighty, so for this presentation, I chose to present the SMCR model, and that is a form of communication, indeed. So, who invented this SMCR model, per se? Well, in 1949, we have Shannon and Weaver, two unique individuals who came up with the beautiful, beautiful form of communication called the SMCR model. All right. After that, Shannon and Weaver constructed that model. We have Wilbur Schramm in 1954, who later edited and revised that model and put in his own terms and thoughts of what he thought communication should look like and be perceived as. Lastly, we have David Berlow in about 1960. He lastly has been the most credited and updated source on conveying the SMCR model to the public. All right. So, what are the details of this theory? Its strengths and its weaknesses. So, let's say the details of this theory is that it's a form of communication, and it allows for two plus more human beings, a public interest of human beings, to be able to communicate through a very systematic approach. So, what is the SMCR model? The S, basically, the entire model is an acronym. The S is a letter that stands for a sender or a source. Now, the M is the message. The message is the content of the information that is being conveyed from the source. Next, we have the letter C. Now, C is the channel. That is the medium or the transit that is basically transferring that message from the source to a receiver. And that gives you the last of our acronym, the letter R. That is our receiver. The receiver is the last to interpret the meaning of the message being transmitted from a source. There we have the SMCR model. A strength of that model would be a form of a positive and balanced and healthy form of communication, because the system controls a source, message, channel, and receiver, and that is a basic setup in order to create a positive and healthy conversation. That creates a better social world, enabling us to create peace and love and diminishing violence and hates and negativity and discrimination. Just a tiny start. Now, a weakness of that SMCR model would have to be the noise and the distractions that actually make their way inside of that little SMCR model, and they actually distribute a very distorted interpretation of the meaning from the message, which can be very misinterpreting and misunderstanding. And that is a very, very great, a good example of the SMCR model in its weakness form. All right. And next, what are the theory's influences in terms of how we understand media? So, in terms of how we understand media, the SMCR model. In terms of how we understand media, what are the theory's influences? Well, it influences me personally to create a better conversation when I'm on the internet and when I'm using social media. That's my go-to source. I know media revolves around textbooks and newspapers and various types of forms of information, but it influences me to create a better conversation and to actually listen and analyze and detail a conversation for its meaning, and to understand where the source is coming from and the source's perspective, and to understand the message and what it is meaning. And then for me to understand the channel from what it is transmitting the message as the receiver, to interpret a meaning and to rely another conversation. So in media, the SMCR model is very important and influences a form of communication between two individuals plus two more individuals to create a better conversation, or to analyze and critically detail a conversation without judging it or misinterpreting it. And that is a way that I personally apply the SMCR model to my understanding of media. And lastly, I have an example of the SMCR model of communication for you. And basically, I would say, I don't know, say you're at home and you're just sitting on the couch and you're watching TV. Hold on, how much time? Awesome sauce. You're chilling at home on TV and you're just kicking back, relaxing. Say you see an ad pop up on TV. So, your source is going to be the advertising company, right? The message is going to be that advertising product that is being presented to you. Now, the channel is going to be your television set and the cable cords. Now, the receiver is going to be you. You, the person that is sitting at home receiving all of this information. Now, if you put in a broad aspect, anybody that's sitting at home that sees an advertising company, that's going to be the source. We're going to have the message, which is going to be the product, or say a magazine, and then the channel is going to be actually the television set or the mailing system, say the postal office. And then we have the receiver, which is the public of interest. Anybody that is in tune or interpreting the message. So, and that is an example of the SMCR model. And my name is Kia Jones, and this is my media theory presentation. I hope you enjoyed.